Hello, good morning. I decided to make another video about the modding assistant because I added a lot of stuff and you might be confused about some new issues. So I will go through the new stuff that was added. I suggest to watch the video about the version 0.1, so you will know everything. Okay, so the first thing was the GUI change. I added tabs here, so you have some kind of new tabs, so because it was getting longer and longer, too much scrolling, so I think it's clearer now. From new features here, I added new extract of game object, which is actually moving of game object, because this one was the cloning of them and only the ones with the renderers, and here it will just it will move all game objects in a hierarchy to a new parent. And the difference is this one doesn't clone doesn't clone the objects, it just moves them. So if you have light mapping, it should keep it. I'll show you an example. So if we make cube, inside the cube we'll make a sphere, cylinder. Let's do some stuff, whatever. We can create empty object and we can add, I don't know, another quad. So we have a cube, sphere, cylinder, quad, empty game object and quad. So if we mark this guy, that could be your hierarchy, could be one parent, you will have 1,000 objects, whatever. And if you click this one, oh yeah, we can name the parent. So I don't know, our objects moved. And if we click it, we'll have a new parent. The other ones are gone. You have a new parent, our objects move, and we have all these objects listed in one kind of root of the parent. So they are not, cube sphere is not anymore child of the cube, cylinder is not the child of the sphere. They are just listed here in one, under one parent. Okay, so that's the one. It can help you to clear up the stuff, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll find some use. This one was in the old version, colliders. I added, I think, remove colliders here, so you can remove it instead of disabling it from the sources. Here, same as with the colliders, but with the lights, sometimes you get the scene, the most scene you wanna use for your mod. And it has lights all over the place inside the objects. You don't want to just look for them and scan for the lights. So just, for example, if we go, let's say we have a cylinder with a light, and we have a, I don't know, I can make the quad object with the light. So here we have two lights somewhere dug inside. You don't know where it is because you have a lot of objects, for example. So instead of going over each one, or just maybe sometimes the lights have no name lights. You see it's called cylinder and there is a light component on it. So if we click our parent and if we extract on lights, if you have two options, we can remove all the lights. So it will remove these guys from lights from the objects, or it will just disable. So I don't know, we can keep it disabled and we'll make new parent. Our new lights, and if we click extract clone lights, it will put into new parent our new lights, and you have two new objects because there were two components, light components, and they have exactly the same light setup, and they are called, the name of the object, the light was there plus the light, so it's easier to search as well here later if you want to filter it. Okay, so we have let's go to the next one. Extract one audio sources. This is exactly the same as the lights, but it will look for audio sources. So you can store audio sources if you like to have your hierarchy cleaned. You can have lights in one parent, audio sources in the second. So you have easy access to all of them. Okay, that was it in the tab, I think. Okay, another one is enable, disable tab. Basically it will, for example, if we have our parent here, you can disable all renderers. So let's get rid of this one. Or we can enable all renderers. So it will search through all the children and disable. The same with the colliders. You can disable colliders here. So if we look at the quad now, it has a no, it had no collider here. If it had, it would be disabled. And did I disable colliders? Yeah, there was, I think, capsule had a collider. Yeah, it had a collider. So we can enable now. The collider is back, so it will search also through children and disable all colliders. Enable. Same with the lights. So we can, if we have, for example, here, we have some lights. Another one. We have two lights here. So if we click disable lights, they should be disabled. Yeah, they are disabled. Disabled. Simple. And we can enable that. It gives you all the logs here, how many was done, so you would know if there is, I don't know, could be handy. Okay, and the third tab is others. A few things here as well. Saving the meshes, this is very handy if you have a user-generated meshes, for example in scene, like from the mesh baker. So let's get rid of these guys. We can maybe keep the lights for now, and let's say we have some objects we would like to combine. This could be handy for the mesh baker. So there is a way actually to make the I'm still using old version of the mesh baker. There is a way to create the prefabs and save the meshes, but it's kind of, you have to create the new objects. I don't know, maybe on new update there is something better. I'm using old version because I modified slightly this version for my needs. Okay, so I'm gonna combine these cubes. Create an offset. And we can actually, let's make 4 meshes. Okay, so and we have if you can see here in mesh filter, there is no mesh name. This is how I detect if it's done by mesh baker. It has no name. And this mesh is actually, you don't have this mesh saved here. So if you wanna move this object to a different project, you wouldn't be able to move it because this mesh is saved in scene memory. It's not in as a file. So what you can do is mark the meshes or parent, whatever, and save meshes. It will 4 meshes saved, and it will save them in a folder. Saved meshes. I have few here. Example. It will generate random number between 0 and a bazillion something. So they won't be overwritten. There's very small chance that the same number will be generated. So if we go back to our mesh, here we have the mesh with the name, and this is 5.6 something. So that mesh is somewhere. Is it here? Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so we have, yeah. So now you can make actually prefab, and you can move this prefab somewhere because you have the mesh. Move it with the mesh, or maybe it will include mesh. I'm not sure. You can also export to FBX or something. So also you can what else? Also you can save all meshes actually to one folder. So if you have a lot of stuff going on, you can save all meshes. It will create a lot of meshes here. How it creates the meshes, it just keeps the name of the object that the mesh was there, plus adding the random number. So now if we go back to our parent, you can see that all the objects, even cubes, have a new copy of the mesh. Okay, so that's the one. Adding colliders, I think that was in the other one, so first version, so just adding colliders. We had this one, set light to bake. Yeah, sometimes you have a scene with a lot of lights and like demo scene, and you'd like to bake the light to see how it looks like. In general, using the real-time light is not suggested. So instead of going through all lights in your scene, you can make them all set to baked, one light set to bake. So if we go back to our sphere light component, it's set to baked. So it's gonna search for the all lights in a scene or in a parent, marked parent, and then set to light to baked. This one we had in the previous version. This one, yeah, I added one extra feature here, so we can replace the shader, but only the one that you'd like to replace. So for example, you put the shader that I would like to replace too. So for example, you can put the standard here and replace only, it will look for the shaders, the ones that you like to be replaced. So for example, you can search for diffuse shaders and replace them to standard, or search only for, I don't know, standard and replace them to shaders. So if you want to replace some only given shaders by you, filter them, just use this button. If you want to replace all shaders to the one that you'd like to replace to, just use this button. And that's it, that's all. Next one, oh, sorting by material. Yeah, so it will, so if we get rid of this, this is very useful actually for me. So if we have a, let's say we have a cube, we have a sphere, and we have a capsule, okay? And they have a same material, but I don't know, I might have some materials here. Yeah, we have a new material 1, so let's say cube will have one material, sphere will have different material, and capsule will have a third material. So now they have, each of them have different material. If you wanna, yeah. So now we can sort them by material. So if I mark the object and sort by material, it will create new. It will clone them actually, duplicate them. You will still have these objects here, but you have a new clones of the guys that were inside, and parented by material name. So for static batching, for example, or combining, or very handy for me. So we have our sphere, cube, and the capsule here. We still have sources. You can disable source renderers if you want. So if we get rid of this, now we have sources which renderers disabled, so they're not showing doubled, and we are sorted by materials. So for example, for static batching or something, it's good to see. I don't know, maybe it will be handy for you. Unpack prefabs. Okay, so sometimes as well, instead of digging, so for example, if you have a prefabs, so instead, and they are somewhere like, you don't see them because they are deep inside the hierarchy. So instead of going through each one and unpack prefab, if you wanna do some modifications, just, I don't know, you wanna unpack it, whatever the reason is, you just actually put them into the one parent. You just mark the parent, unpack prefabs, 3 prefabs, unpack completely. So they are no more prefabs anymore, they are not linked to the prefab. Yeah, so that will speed it up a bit, and that's the last one that was in the previous version. Okay. Undo is still not supported. I will have to spend some time to learn about it. Okay, that's all. Yeah, that's all. See ya.